5 men have been convicted after a teenager was brutally stabbed in a busy street in Hackney. The incident occurred at Broadway Market on July the 30th, 2020 at around 11:30 whilst many people were enjoying a night out. A 15-year-old was found with multiple stab wounds and he was rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Members of the public who were at the scene were so frightened they ran away, and some even thought the incident was an attack. 22 calls were made to the police by eyewitnesses and police arrived within 4 minutes. The suspects fled the scene before the police arrived, and after an extensive search, a large machete was found nearby. A task force set up in response to the attack uncovered CCTV footage of the culprits actively searching for their target. From August 2020 to May 2021, a number of early morning raids took place on the identified suspects. William Guy, who was 17, was arrested and charged in October 2020. Another 17-year-old was arrested and charged on May 15, 2020. Kyle Taylor, Courtney Paul, and a 15-year-old male were all arrested and charged on August 20, 2020. The same knife that was seen on CCTV was found in Paul's bedroom when he was arrested. The jury heard that the group had travelled to London Fields with a machete, where they chased the victim down in Broadway Market, where he was stabbed repeatedly with bottles and then chairs were thrown at him as well. The jury also heard how the suspects had Googled stabbing on their phones to read it in the news. A photo of the victim was saved on Paul's phone, but he denied any knowledge of it being there. The investigation also uncovered how William Guy, the 15-year-old and the 17-year-old, were part of a Snapchat group called the Real A-Team, where they discussed the attack and the risk of them being caught. Both Guy and Paul claimed they were acting in self-defence. Police Constable Cal Gregory of the Hackney Gangs Task Force said this was a horrifying incident for the victim and the many members of the public who were in the area at the time enjoying their evening. The CCTV speaks for itself and shows the stark reality and the impact of knife crime on the wider community. It is worrying to see the ages of the defendants who were armed with machetes. They were young. The victim was also charged separately as a main aggressor in the stabbing. The incident was born out of rival groups looking to get up on one another. However, the suspects claimed they were acting in self-defence. Tackling violence is a top priority of the Met, and I'd like to thank various members of the public who came forward to assist the investigation that helped hold these dangerous individuals accountable. The victim did not support a police prosecution, so this sends a strong message to all violent individuals that we will pursue a case wherever possible. So all 5 individuals were convicted at Harrow Crown Court today, following a 2-week trial, and they're going to be sentenced on February 2022. And in another story coming out of London, 2 men have been jailed for a combined total of more than 9 years for a stabbing in Westminster. Hanif El Hafedi and Joshua Lenga both pleaded guilty to Section 18 GBH with intent at an earlier hearing. And yesterday, Hanif El Hafedi was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment and Joshua Lenga 4 years and 6 months. The court heard how El Hafidi and Lenga had taken a taxi to the Sherland Road, W9 area around 5:30 on Thursday 8th of April armed with large knives. Shortly after exiting the taxi, they made their way into the Amberley estate where they spotted a 27-year-old man who they believed was from a rival gang. Brandishing their knives, El Hafidi and Lenga approached the victim and attacked him, stabbing him in the shoulder and back. A group emerged from the building and chased El Hafidi and Lenga back to the waiting taxi where the pair fled. During the chase, one of the knives used in the attack was discarded and was subsequently handed to police. Guys, these waiting taxis, they seem a bit suspect, yeah. It was only a couple of weeks ago, actually, I covered a story with regards to that innocent lad who worked at Marks and Spencer's, I forgot his name now, and about 8 lads jumped out of a taxi, chased the poor lad, killed him, jumped back into the taxis and got off, all because he was apparently in a different postcode to their gang. Dunno, just seems a bit strange. Anyway, the victim, he was treated in hospital before being discharged. An investigation was launched and detectives quickly established El Hafidi and Lenga as suspects. Both were arrested over the course of the following days during a search of a hotel room in Bayswater used by both suspects, where a second knife was recovered. A thorough investigation built a wall of evidence against El Hafidi and Lenga, including CCTV, forensic evidence and witness testimony. As a result, both men were charged. Detective Constable Louis Pryor of the Central West Command Unit said this was a violent and senseless attack that could have had much more serious consequences. The disregard both El Hafidi and Lenga displayed in carrying out this attack in public place in broad daylight is staggering. However, due to the weight of evidence compiled as a result of the diligent investigation, they had no choice but to admit their guilt in court. And it was only today, actually, that the Deputy Met Police Commissioner, Stephen House, told a London Assembly that there were clear links between drill music and gang violence in London. He said, drill videos filmed on the streets of London attract violence from other gangs. I can think of it at least half a dozen occasions where we've had drill videos linked directly to gang violence. He later admitted, it's a form of music I know nothing about. I'm far too old to understand that shit. But he then added that the focus of weaponry, misogyny and violence meant the genre had to be actively monitored by the force. He said, we identified drill videos as a potential flashpoint of violence. So guys, there's a couple of stories for you. Let me know what you think. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.